Welcome to Confessions of an SEO. This is Carolyn Holzman. This is my attempt to share my experiences in SEO spanning the last 13 years and counting. I'll share some of the new things I'm testing, some of my research data. And by the way, very little of what you're about to hear is going to be validated by Google proper. You see, I really don't think that they are driven or make their decisions based on the best interest of either your business or my business. If you're an SEO, I get you. If you're a business owner, guess what? Before I was magically turned into an SEO butterfly, I was a local business owner for decades. And there are days, I swear, when I still feel the strain. So let's get started. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 27. Calling this one, How Do You Know Your SEO is Working? Now, this is week 4 of the summer editions of Confessions of an SEO. Today, I will update you on the results so far of the mobile first indexing test. And then I'll dive into this topic, which was shared by a Confessions of an SEO sponsor, Kyle Sabra. Kyle has his own SEO agency, and congratulations, Kyle. You are definitely getting a link to your agency in the description. Kyle was the first to respond to the request for topics. And any topics that are chosen for a show, for an episode, they get a present they can use. So, what is happening in the mobile first indexing test? Well, as SEOs, we focus and target typically on like one big gorilla keyword. Now, in this particular test, just to clarify, this is a field test. This is a real website, a real business, a real owner with a real keyword target. Now, for new listeners, just to give a little background of the test, Google has said for a while that it uses the mobile version of our sites to score and rank our sites. So I happen to have had a unique situation where I had 2 sets of files for a single domain, one desktop set and one mobile set. Now, long story short, this isn't normal, but it did provide me with the ability to separately optimize the mobile set to see if I could move the desktop ranking. Now, I targeted a 3-word service phrase. Now, it doesn't have the city in it, but it is one that has proved very challenging in previous efforts. So now for this phrase, what happened? Well, it really climbed, and I'll share details shortly. But this week, I literally saw the forest, not the tree. Every single keyword that I'm tracking on this site, I should say every non-brand keyword, has either gone up or gone from not ranking to ranking on page 2. Now, the average improvement on the previously ranking terms has been 9 spots. Now, that's on average. The particular search term that was targeted climbed from nowhere to page 2. Everything that was already on page 1 has gone up above the fold. There is one of them that's phasing in and out. It's one of those near me terms, and I know why. And reason I know why, it's thanks to Ted Kubaitis' SEO Volatility tool. If you can, I suggest you get access to it. You can really see that for each ranking position that there are components to describe it, and that not every number 4 ranking is the same. So, as they say regarding the mobile first indexing, there definitely seems to be gold in them there hills. Now, a lot of people have been paring down their mobile rendition of the site for speed. And I suggest this might be a reason for some of the confounding results that SEOs get. You know, we kind of know what we're doing, but maybe not accounting for this particular wrinkle. By the way, you're welcome. If you want to thank me, become a sponsor of Confessions and we can keep this kind of information coming. Which brings us to today's topic from Kyle. And this is a great question and one that I have many feelings about. It's possible we might go over 15 minutes today. Okay, so how do you know your SEO is working? Now, that seems like a straightforward question. And who amongst us hasn't heard this question and asked in some form if you've been in SEO for more than a few months? The first time I heard it, it was when I was meeting with a prospect who was a chiropractor in Austin, who he was actually referred to me. And in the course of our meeting, he showed me where I would be sitting every day after driving for 50 minutes to his office for the $300 per month he was willing to pay someone to work on his SEO for his clinic. He literally wanted to know that his SEO was working. Oh, and I left out something kind of important. At the end of the day, I was to provide written reports as to what I had actually performed. Okay. All right. But for those who aren't into controlling employees at independent contractor relationships, when it all comes down, how do we determine the value of what's being offered and the value of what's being gained? How do we know our SEO is working? First, let's consider some places where I would not recommend you look for that signal. And I file these things I'm about to go through under consider the source. Other SEO agencies that want your business. They will tell you things like your titles are too long, your titles are too short, the descriptions are too long, or your descriptions are too short, or your website score is too low, or your core web vitals are in the red and they need to be in the green, or you'll lose rankings. By the way, none of these examples is indicative of anything fundamentally wrong with what's going on. Can we all just agree that this is what we were taught? I'm going to talk to the SEOs right now. Show a business owner something wrong, stir that discomfort with the purpose of getting them to leave their current agency and move over to yours. Now, this has always felt to me kind of like the guy or gal who saddles up and starts to exploit the doubt in the significant other, only to succeed. And then they are never, ever really sure if the person they turn can be turned by somebody else in the future. Doesn't sound like a stable way to build a business. Now, business people, think about it. What are the odds that another agency or SEO really has found a problem with the implementation of your SEO? Maybe, but don't take it at face value. Remember, there is an agenda. And let's not forget my all-time favorite, the latest SEO article your brother-in-law sent you. Now, there are tactics out there, and I'm the first to admit some work like gangbusters. And most actually got people, or I should say, the websites in trouble. And someone writing an article 9 years ago describing, you have to remember, they're describing a completely different search environment than the one that we have today. And then don't get me started on helpful Google. I had a client one time that went to a Google Run workshop, only to come back to me and tell me that Google didn't say anything that I had been telling them. Google had told them just to write content that their customers would appreciate and don't try to game the system. If people want to backlink to your content, they will. So I ask you, how hard is it to consider the source? All right, so now we're back to the question. How do you know the SEO efforts that you're paying for are working? All right, again, too many business owners confuse the concept of working SEO to paid search results. In the short run, sure, paid ads will generate sales. And that's that quick and easy fix, right? I did know a plumber who was so heavily reliant on paid ads that he put together himself, by the way, that he finally gave all that up because he found that the average job revenue for the projects from paid ads was around $195. And the cost of the ads to get that $195 was running him about $380 total, like all those clicks to get that one job. So, like on Shark Tank, to know if your SEO plan is working, you have to know your numbers. What does an average job generate in revenue? Snorville, right? How many jobs before the SEO was implemented did you provide on a monthly basis through all your other efforts? And before SEO, how many of the times was your site visible for your main service, not by your brand name, but by the name of the service you provide? How many swings at the ball did you get from your website? You see, people forget. They forget that before SEO, they might never, ever, ever have gotten a sale from their site. So people forget and people minimize. They minimize the process of a sale. Urgency will dictate the speed of a sale. Emergency plumber, right? But for other things, it's a cycle. Maybe they come to your site 10 times before they call or order. I had a roofer who'd done roofing for 12 years, and he was still young. He was in his 30s. He'd started with his dad. Now, after his dad retired, he started his own business. And his biggest complaint when I met up with him was he knew a lot of people that knew him, but they didn't know how to find him. I got him to rank everywhere in his area for roof repair within the first 3 months. And it didn't take 3 months. It was really like about, memory serves, I want to say starting around week 3, you could really tell a difference. And when I say, ranking everywhere, I meant in maps, like any part of the city for that term, he was either 1, 2, or 3. Now, that was also after Google had decided that maps ranking wasn't a right only for those who knew how to optimize a Google My Business listing. They call them GBPs now. To be accurate, I would say it was really a masterclass in how to rank in maps. And I even popped a knowledge panel for his company name when the term was searched, like the non-branded term was searched, it would pop a knowledge panel for his business. Yeah. Okay. So people would call and he'd get to talking with them. And then they both realized they knew each other through his dad's company. And guess what happened? Yeah, they would hire him. And you would think he would have been thrilled about the efficiency of his SEO. Well, according to him, that wasn't SEO. It was his previous relationship that got him the work. However, the customer wasn't looking for him. They were looking for what they needed, and finding him was in some ways CRO. Without the SEO that made his company visible and available, he would have never had the chance to close all those people. So he decided that he was paying for SEO that wasn't helping him, that I needed to work harder. Suddenly, everything I suggested to do was met with, well, you focus on working harder before I'm going to do what you suggest. I was suggesting things like build an email list. Okay, needless to say, I worked for him for about 3 months. Well, 2 years later, he calls me up again to see if I'm available. And apparently, he was a serial agency hopper. I don't think he's worked with a company more than 3 months at a time. I saw he had totally screwed up his map rankings he'd set up a new GMB in another city, and he didn't do it right. I basically said no thank you, and he was pretty astonished that I sent him away with homework, but that I wasn't jumping at it. So if you know your numbers and you remember what was happening before and you don't minimize success, how do you know your SEO is working? I think, and I've come to this, I didn't come out of the gate with this. So this is after experience. I think you have to compare everything you have after SEO to where you were before SEO. I think a month-to-month comparison is ridiculous. So, you go back to where I was before, and here's here's where I am today. And then the next month, here's where I was before, and here's where I am at month 2. Now, if you don't have anything to show in the meantime, that might be a problem. I refer you to the $300 packages from GoDaddy that they say are SEO. But from what I've seen, they are really nothing but, glorified social media posts. Now, if you think of the distance between where you are and, let's say, spot 1 on page 1, if you were able to achieve a 50% improvement each month, you're going to have like big jumps in the beginning, but as you move further and further, each month that jump is smaller and smaller. And I'm going to tell you, just to be honest, you're probably not likely to get 50% improvements of traffic and rankings and keyword expansion every single month. Okay? Now, you can look at your SEO improvements, but if you're a local business looking for SEO to carry the full weight of your marketing efforts, be careful. I talked about that in last week in episode 26. It's called Mind Your Own Business. So here's what I would say. 1, make sure you have your baseline of how things were before you started SEO. Know your numbers, because if you were, let's say, getting 10 opportunities and you were able to close 6 of them before, what if you get 20 opportunities? How many are you closing now? Because then that gives you something to strive for. At that point, if you watch your closing rate go down, you have more opportunities, but you're closing a lower percentage of it, find out why. And that's not your SEO. That's you. That's your business. Now, you always want to compare where you are to where you were at the start. None of these things that I'm describing require huge amounts of SEO knowledge to be able to see if you're moving in the right direction. And if you're not, talk with your SEO. Don't accuse them of not working. Ask informed questions. You're an adult. Your SEO is an adult. Proceed accordingly. All right. Well, that's going to do it for today. I am doing a live training next week. It's to train you on how to know if your pages are indexed and to know it without relying on Google Search Console or some special search operator. You will know very quickly if simple indexing is on or if render indexing is on or off. Now, I'm going to put the link in the description. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being a listener. And special thank you to the sponsors of Confessions. These people help support this work, obviously for themselves, but also for you. So if you'd like to support this podcast and SEO research, you can go to, and I always have the little short link, it's bit.ly, bit.ly/confessions sponsor, 2 S's in the middle. Please subscribe to Confessions wherever you're listening to it. It's on Audible, Spotify, Amazon Alexa. And if you haven't settled on one source for your podcast, you can just simply Google Confessions of an SEO. You can find it, click on it, and you can hear it right away. So let's make more business and success together. We're all after the same thing. It's been my pleasure to be your host. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the service.